I worked in a fire lookout tower, and I can't explain what I saw. When I first signed up for the job, I thought it would be peaceful, even beautiful. The ranger station told me it was the easiest paycheck I would ever earn. Sit up there for days at a time, scan the horizon, and if I saw smoke, radio it in. That was Italiano. No tourists, no coworkers, no noise, just me and the forest. The tower stood 30 feet above the ground, supported by a skeleton of old wood and steel bolts that creaked under my boots. The room at the top was just big enough for a cot, a radio, a desk, and a pair of binoculars. My first evening was quiet, almost too quiet, with the kind of silence that presses against your eardrums until you start to hear your own heartbeat. I remember thinking it felt like a prison cell in the sky, and that thought stuck with me. The forest stretched endlessly in every direction, darkening as the sun sank, the tree line swaying like an ocean of shadows. It should have been calming, but the longer I stared, the more the darkness felt alive, like it was breathing with me, inhaling when I inhaled, holding its breath when I held mine. The first night I sat with my flashlight off, telling myself not to be jumpy. But even in those early hours, I swear I saw movement out their shapes between the trees, figures too tall and too still to be animals. I laughed at myself, called it an overactive imagination, but deep down, a seed of dread was already planted. By the second night, the strangeness began to grow heavier. I woke to the sound of footsteps on the staircase, slow and deliberate, rising toward me. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it down, but the steps stopped just short of the landing. When I shone the beam, there was nothing. No footprints, no rustle of animals running away, just the groan of old wood echoing back at me. That should have been enough to call it in, but I didn't want to be the rookie who panicked over raccoons or branches. So I stayed. The radio crackled that same night, waking me again around 3 a.m., and I heard what I thought was static until I leaned closer. It wasn't static, it was my name, whispered, stretched out like someone dragging their breath through the speaker. I nearly dropped the thing, but when I asked if dispatch had called, all I got was silence. Then came the logbook. Every night we were supposed to write notes. Time, temperature, visibility, routine stuff. On my third shift, I flipped it open and saw words I had in T written in thick black ink. Dan T, look at the trees. They're already looking at you. My skin crawled. I checked the page before it, my own sloppy handwriting from the day before. But the new words were sharper, darker, like someone had dug the pen into the paper. The ink smudged under my thumb. Fresh. That night the knocking started again, 3 sharp raps from inside the room. My cot was empty. The door was locked. And yet, when I aimed my flashlight at the far corner, the beam caught wet footprints, leading toward me. By the end of the first week, the tower felt less like a shelter and more like a trap. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I'd spot movement at the edge of the clearing, always in the same place, always just far enough away that I couldn't be sure what it was. Once, when the moon was bright, I saw a figure standing motionless between the trees, facing the tower. I blinked, and it was gone, but I swear I could still feel its eyes on me. I tried to radio the station again, but this time all I got was a long, distorted voice I didn't recognize. Don't leave. I didn't touch the radio for 2 days after that. Sleep became impossible. Every time I dozed, I woke to sounds that made no sense. Whispering from under the floorboards, scratching along the outside walls, something breathing in rhythm with me. I told myself it was the wind, the wood, settling, the forest. But one night, I woke and found the logbook open again. New words, scrawled in the same jagged handwriting. You're not alone in here. The flashlight flickered, and in that dim glow, I saw something in the corner that made my stomach twist into knots. It was me, my exact reflection, standing there in the shadows, staring back with a smile I couldn't force onto my own face. My knees buckled. The air went cold. When I lunged at it, the corner was empty. The footprints were gone, but I knew what I'd seen. Knew. The next days bled together in a haze of fear and sleeplessness. The forest seemed louder now, groaning and cracking as if it were alive. I started hearing voices outside, calling my name in tones that shifted between deep growls and high, childlike whimpers. Once, just before dawn, I looked out over the horizon and saw dozens of figures in the clearing below lined up in rows, all facing upward, their heads tilted at impossible angles. I rubbed my eyes, blinked, and they vanished. But the grass below swayed as if something had just moved through it. My food tasted like rot. The water smelled of iron. I stopped eating, stopped drinking, too afraid to open the hatch and climb down. The tower felt like it was sinking, tilting under me, though I knew it stood solid. When I dared look in the mirror, my reflection lagged, moving slower than me, smiling when I didn't. And the logbook. Every time I opened it, new words bled across the pages like veins. Stay awake. Don't leave. It's already inside. I tried tearing the pages out, burning them, but the words returned the next night, written deeper, darker, as if carved into the paper itself. I started to believe the tower wasn't just a building, it was alive. A mouth, waiting to swallow me whole. The last night I remember was the worst. I was half asleep when the knocking returned. Louder, insistent, pounding from every wall at once. The radio screamed static, and beneath it, a chorus of voices rose. Hundreds of them, all speaking at once, chanting my name in tones that rattled my bones. The footprints appeared again, wet and endless, circling me as if something invisible was pacing just out of sight. Then the air shifted, heavy and thick, and I knew I wasn't alone. I turned slowly, and there it was, ma Belle, standing inches away. Its eyes black pits, its grin stretched too wide, teeth sharp and endless. It leaned in close and whispered words that still echo in my skull. You never left. You never will. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The lanterns flickered, the walls bent inward. The tower groaned like it was collapsing, and then nothing. Just silence. You woke at dawn. The tower is still standing. The forest quiet. No footprints. No voices. But when I opened the logbook, the words waiting for me nearly stopped my heart. This is not a story. You are still in the tower, and they're still waiting for you. I worked in a fire lookout tower, and I can't explain what I saw. But if you're listening now, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the tower isn't just in the forest. Maybe it's wherever you are, waiting for you to look into the dark too long, waiting for you to realize you're being watched right now. Because once you hear this story, the tower knows your name, and sooner or later, you'll hear the knocking too. If you think you're brave enough to keep going, click into the next nightmare waiting on this channel. But don't say, I didn't warn you. Some doors should never be opened.